Welcome to Egg, Ammo, and Adventure, where the corn's tall, the stories are taller, and the only thing we take seriously is our smoked meat and craft beer. Today we're joined by Doc Richard, a longtime hunter, outdoorsman, and living legend in our hunting crew. From tree stands to tall tales, Doc's got more stories than a raccoon's got escape routes. Buckle up, Liars Club. It's going to get rowdy.
All right, this is Todd Coffelt, small-town farm kid from living in the big city.
Once again, Steve Larsen, Southwest Iowa native.
Today we're going to be interviewing somebody who I've grown up hunting with and who has more stories to tell than we have time in the day. But I want to welcome Dr. Larry Richard to our podcast, Ag, Ammo, and Adventure. And Doc, it is great to see you. And I'm just going to reference you from your nickname moving forward, and it's Doc is what it is because you are.
Suits me.
So that he's going to have plenty to say. I'm not worried about it. We are sitting in his house. I'm going to call it a trophy room. And what did your wife call it, Doc?
The zoo.
Tell us what's in this room for people's imaginations.
If we start clockwise at the pronghorn antelope, and then around to a mule deer, to Alaska Yukon moose, hidden behind it's an Iowa turkey fan. You come around, underneath it's a black bear. You step on the zebra rug, and you come up to the Dall sheep with, from the Yukon, a mountain lion from Argentina, a caribou from the Yukon, then two black bears. Above the black bear is a northern pike that was just a half-inch short of 4 feet, came out of the Quetico forest, and white-tailed deer that came not from 300 yards from where we're sitting, a pair of walleyes, one of which came from Little River and one of which came from Rod and Reel Pond. There's an elk from Colorado. Below him you can't see is a red stag from Argentina. The guy in the corner is a black buck. That came from Argentina. There's a springbok from Africa, a gemsbok from Africa, a kudu from Africa, and a crappie that my wife caught in Stan Burcham's pond is the only thing she owns in here, but she likes to point that out to everybody. And just below that, a picture of her with a 28-inch walleye from Lake of the Woods.
Fantastic. So, as anybody can imagine, things don't happen by accident. We're talking to a guy that lives and breathes hunting, fishing, and being outdoor. And this is our opportunity to share him with you. And Doc, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you start out? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up as close to Minnesota as we are Missouri now. You change from ootin' a boot in your boat to of a morning. You know, it's a big difference in what my father called my daughters Okies, because even they picked up a little bit of the dialect from down here. Even though I would not allow them to say down and round, it's down and round. Went to Morningside College, where the people said, well, you went to a small high school. I graduated with 36 kids. The kids from the big high schools, they'll chew you up in college. Not so.
How far were you from Morningside, Doc?
I was in Morningside.
Oh, was you? Okay.
That's where I went to college. And probably one of the most influential people in my whole life was my college roommate. You know, I'm a farm boy. Nobody graduated college before me. And I pictured getting out, being a chemist or a biologist or something. And my roommate says, Larry, let's go take the MedCats. And I said, what's a MedCat? He said, the medical college aptitude test. I said, think I could? Well, I suppose you could. So I signed up. We went and did it. And back in those days, they didn't have prep courses for it. If they did, I didn't know about it. Got my scores back, didn't know what to make of it. Took it into my advisor and says, what about these scores? And he said, well, everybody else I ever had that good a score got into medical school. So there I went. I mean, but from there, who knows? You know, it's one of those what ifs. I had to go back and take some 100 level courses as a senior. In fact, it was one of my favorite stories that got nothing to do with the outdoors, is at Morningside, they only gave the higher level college or chemistry courses every other year. So I took Chemistry 100 the first year, Chemistry 201 and 301 the second year, and 302 conflicted with 202, so I skipped that. So in my junior year, I took the 400 level course, and we get down to the second semester of my senior year, and I still hadn't done Chemistry 202. So I took Chemistry 202, and we're 6 weeks into the course, and I got called into the professor's office. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, what have I done? I walked in, and he says, Larry, quit coming to class. I said, huh? He said, you obviously know all this stuff. You've got all this down. I'll give you your A. You're screwing up the curve. Everybody's bitching at me about you being here. It's been good to teach you. I hope you get into medical school, finish your labs, and you're done. So on I went and got into the College of Medicine. And, of course, the people say the kids from the small college, they won't be able to compete with the guys from the university.
What's the College of Medicine?
University of Iowa College of Medicine.
There you go.
Before it was the Roy Carver. That was before he started putting all the money in the U.
There you go. So you're a true Hawkeye.
I'm a true Hawkeye.
Todd, why are you looking at me when you say that?
See, don't say anything. The game just happened 3 days ago. It's just,
Hey, we're here to talk hunting and outdoors, all right? Not start up rivalries.
there you go. All right. So you went to the University of Iowa.
Yep. I couldn't get interested in any one specific thing, so I thought family practice is for me. You know, I like working care of acne as much as I do heart attacks. So the Broadlawns Hospital residency seemed to be the right for me. I went down there and did a rotation or two, and that's where I did 3 years. And that's where we had friends that lived in Decatur County, lived off towards Garden Grove, and I was going to come down there and hunt quail with them. They'd invited me down. But that's how come I'm here, is because of the Coffelts.
Is that where you first met the Coffelts?
Yes,
at
yes,
Broadlawns?
Well, the Broadlawns family practice residency sent its first-year residents to Blank Hospital for peds. And I was working with Dr. Jack Spivak, whose patient was Todd Coffelt, who was a funny-looking kid with a big spleen.
Rachel, you can edit that out.
So we worked Todd up and decided he was okay, and I'm in there seeing him in the afternoon. In walks Gary Coffelt, may he rest in peace, one of my best friends ever in the world. And we got through talking about the medicine of it, and then got talking about quail and deer and all that stuff. And in walked Lenore and Todd's mom, and what are you guys talking about, quail hunting? Well, what about Todd? We've already been there, done that, we're okay. And I got invited down to hunt quail with the Coffelts, and the rest is history, so to speak.
So you're telling me you met the Coffelts because of a strange-looking kid.
A funny-looking kid.
A funny-looking, sorry, not strange, funny-looking kid.
It was a growth stage. We all go through it. It was a growth stage.
How old was Todd at the time? 1, 2, you think?
It was 1975.
2 years old.
2 years old. It took him 2 years to take you to the doctor.
At all odds to get to where I am. You know how the story goes. So you're from the Northland.
Yeah.
And
There might one other thing I might tell you about my coming here. I went through the third year. The second year and third year, you get time to spend with a practitioner in an area. Well, I spent a month my second year in Osceola, and it just didn't click. But I came down here and spent a month with Dr. Binder and Dr. McMillan and hit it off real well. And I was designed to go to Denison, Iowa in December and go with one of my old pledge trainers from undergrad. Says, my dad will teach you. And he said, and on top of that, he said, he always takes a week off and goes to Texas goose hunting. He'll probably take you with him. Well, I decided about November I was coming here. So why do I want to go to another primary care? I canceled that and took a month in ICU at VA. And Dr. Crabb flew to Texas, cracked his airplane up, and was killed in that airplane.
Oh, wow.
You know,
What if? Full story.
What ifs, you know?
Yeah.
wow, jeez.
So anytime somebody says, how come why don't you just leave after that? And I said, God meant me to be here. I'm here for the rest of my life.
Good. Well, the community's welcomed you. So you're from the Northland, the flatland.
Mm-hmm.
You made it to southern Iowa. It's a little bit different in terrain
Right.
and the species that were prevalent here at that time. You've not only are you an active outdoorsman as far as doing, you're also a teacher and you're a hunter safety instructor. But you're big into giving people the opportunity and helping them be successful.
That's been a great sport, you know, you want to tell Todd stories, you know.
Of course, we want to hear all of them.
Well, it was not just the Coffelt boys, it's the Boy Scout
Turkey shoot.
turkey shoot.
Yeah.
And the Coffelt boys had a fight about who had to shoot with their dad and who got to shoot with me. I didn't let him forget that one quickly.
I was going to say.
Well, now, did you grow up hunting, fishing, outdoorsman up in northern Iowa? So it was in your blood before you even came down here.
Take a cane pole. It actually wasn't even a cane pole. Cut a willow pole, a string, a hook, and an old bolt that nobody wanted. Put it on and go to the river and fish bullheads.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Slimers. Nice.
Fish, hunt pheasants out the backyard and ducks on the river bottom. And
So we start out, you have the name Doc, and we've shared with people that we hunt deer as a group, and you're part of that group. How many years have you been hunting with that group?
oh boy, I've been here about 45 or 6 years, 40 years minimum. I took a couple years off for reasons you know, but since then I'm one of the two old guys left.
Good. And we'll make room for you every time. Now, being from the Northland, you show up in southern Iowa and all of a sudden there's a group of people that get together to hunt. Had you ever done that before?
No. Not more than family going pheasant hunting.
Sure.
I was a neophyte at deer hunting. I'd hunted a couple times, but that was all walk around the timber, see if you can kill a deer. And I had never killed, take that back. I did hunt with the Westergaard boys down by Sloan a year or two. So I had been with a group, but not with the Southern Iowa group.
What makes you say that?
He's implying that it's different, Todd.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. It's just a little bit, again, they're on a Missouri River bottom. I lost your dad that time. With the definition of a hill and a fence, to me, were two different things. What looked like a hill to me was just a little rise to him. What looked like a fence to me was just a couple of strands of wire that were old and decrepit and scattered around. So he got lost the first time. I could never give that man directions on where to go because our definitions were so different.
As I remember, he was a pretty good listener when people were telling him what to do, but a faint memory. So party hunting, and you've hunted with people, and you've become, like you said, you're one of the more experienced people. You've probably walked every drive, just about every space in every drive. You know how the deer work, and you're able to help people. But what's the biggest challenge for people when they hunt in a group like this that you faced?
See, that's the fun part is learning what you did wrong last year and how the deer got away and what you do different this year. But the definition of a hill, a fence, what's east, what's west, getting them to position and then keeping them there. And the biggest thing is if we never kill a deer, we got to all come home safe.
Agreed.
You know, that hunter safety course, you know, I teach that yearly, and it's just a great sport getting people into doing what we do.
Definitely.
Todd and I talked last week. We thought one of the harder things is when you tell somebody you got to wait here for 10 minutes because we have some pushes where there's a wheel. So you got to connect and you have to wait. And being patient is so hard when you're hunting and waiting for everybody to connect to push that line equally forward. That patience is tough, Doc.
Well, the different patience is there, and it's a difference between walking across Tom Mounsden's grassland and walking down the west side of that thing and all the bushes, brambles, and things that are tangling on your feet, grabbing your hat, scratching your eyeball, and the other guy's up on the hill wondering why you're so slow.
Much longer.
It's hazard pay down there. It's what it is.
You got to earn it.
If you don't have that guy down in there, you don't see the deer.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. So what's one of the funniest stories you can think of for our group? And it could be with anybody. If you don't use me, that's just fine. If you don't use me, that's just fine.
I like Wes Creason the best. We never did give him a name. But he got the catbird seat. Now, let me preface the catbird seat. When Gary Coffelt and I were scoping out this, we were finally going to get to run Deer Alley, which made you salivate. And we found the spot where they came, and I said, I'm going to sit right here. And lo and behold, I killed 4 deer on that drive. You know, Gary came up, did you kill a deer? And I said, you heard me shoot, didn't you? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, how many times did I shoot? 4 or 5. I said, I got 4 deer. Well, I won't say that word. So I said, take 2 steps, and he walked up and found the deer. And I said, well, that's one. He said, well, get across the fence, and I found the second one. Well, that's only 2. And I said, come on. Well, there's some blood trails. So we followed one. No, that's only 3. It's, yeah, but the blood trail keeps going. So I had my 4 deer. So that became the catbird seat.
There you go.
And I don't know,
Surprised opportunity.
oh, this is a place where you want to be, or did then. A few years later, the old wrestling coach, Wes Creason, got that spot. And I was sitting up on a hill where I could see what was going on. And this old doe came up and went within 10 yards of Wes, and I could see the gun. You could, if I was far enough away, I could see the smoke go and then hear the gun and keep the deer going. Well, that one went away, and the same thing repeated itself the next time. So when I got back there, I said, Creason, take down your collar. And he says, why would I do that? I said, I want to see the hickey that deer gave you as that went by you. But he came the next year, and he said, where do I get to hunt? Well, you don't get the catbird seat. He said, did you ever get rid of the hickey on your neck? And he says, people don't forget that, do they?
We talked about that. We've talked about that.
That's probably the funniest, before Little River filled, if you recall. That may have been before you were hunting. Little River didn't have water in it, and we were going south to north to south. And we had a kid in there, teenager, and I said, now stay between Killer and me. Well, about one ridge later, something's crashing in front of me, and I'm down there on point ready to shoot, and here comes this kid. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going west. You going west? I ain't going west. No, south is that way. He said, well, you gave yourself the good spot. And I said, look where I'm walking and where you're walking. You get over where you could see either Keller or me, because we'd already lost him up on my farm. We'd hunt my farm the first time. We all get back, and somebody said, where's my brother? And I know, it'd get dark. Nobody knows where they are but me, and I've only been there a year. So I'm out there searching around looking for this guy. When all else fails, listen for the interstates to your east. This kid walked out and got a hitchhike back. He was back drinking beer, and I was wandering around the cold looking for his butt. Not funny, but maybe it's funny now, but it wasn't then.
It didn't get up okay. It may have been frustrating.
He didn't get invited back.
He didn't get invited back. And there's a lot that just happened in those stories, and I just want to kind of highlight. When we hunt dox timber, it's the one where the ditches don't run a certain way and the contours are off, it seems, and then that first ditch is treacherous. But the key to survival, if all else fails, is if you hear the interstate, walk toward the interstate, and that's where we started.
Well, and I told you last week, and having a sandwich as your survival pack in case you do get lost.
They're part of that, and that's the reason why. Somebody did that the first time, and you remember survival skills. That's good. So we've hunted over the years, and new people come, and you're a hunter safety instructor, and so it's about developing skills, because everybody can learn no matter what. You learn year over year. And I've brought people on, Steve's brought people on, and your kids, your grandkids are hunting now. One of my favorite sayings, and whether it's divine intervention or coincidence, but when somebody will come for the first year and they're able to shoot a deer, and they'll walk up to it and they'll attempt to start cleaning it and skinning it. And, if you haven't cleaned a deer very many times, it's a learning experience. And sometimes everybody helps you, sometimes nobody.
Well, when you've got 5 guys over you, watching you and guiding you in field dressing a deer, it can be a challenge, right?
One of the observations that has been shared with people that only your voice can project, and I know exactly what's happening when I hear it, but I hear you say, it pains me to watch you mutilate this deer carcass. And
it's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage. So it's great, because everybody learns the right way to do it, and you take the time, you give them a chance. But then when we know the observation is being shared, it's like, I know where you are and who you're with. So I enjoy that part of it.
Well, I tell people, I've talked people through a lot tougher operations than gutting a deer. You take a medical student and they're taking something off the skin, and I got to sit on my hands while they're numbing it up, while they're cutting away, and it's something I could have had done in 10 minutes, and they're taking a half hour. But it's important that they learn. So I've learned to sit on my hands, and like I literally tell them, I've talked people through tougher operations than that. Turn your knife the other way, pull a little harder, You don't see me covered with blood when I get done gutting a deer.
It's awesome. It's a rite of passage. It is fun. for the
That's the way it
person to
is.
come out there and give them the shot, and everybody learns no matter when it is.
Well, even some of the guys I've brought, even the opportunity to see deer run by you, they may not have shot the deer, but the excitement that you feel when 12 deer run by you, and you just get in this stage of which one do I focus on first, and how do I get shot at 12 deer running by me that aren't too far away.
And I hope nobody's watching. It's a thought that comes up later, but everybody's watching.
Well, me too. Yeah, you were again. It was probably before you when we ran Bailey's for the first time. And again, Gary and I had a spot. I says, I want that spot. Gary says, oh, let's give it to Ward. He's got a muzzle loader. He wants to shoot there. I says, oh, okay, Gary. Gary was the boss. I was one of the next in the hierarchy, but you did what Gary Coffelt said.
I understand.
And so I set Ward right there in what would be the next catbird seat, and I took the next one down. Well, down off the hill, past that little timber island, came the rundering herd, and there was a big, big buck in there. And I'm thinking, okay. And Ward's muzzle loader went off once, and I had two little ones come by me, and I'm thinking maybe the buck will come by, and I didn't shoot at him. So up comes Mr. Coffelt, and he says, you see anything? Nope. He's bullshit. I saw those two. You were waiting for that big buck, weren't you? And I said, yeah. Well, he went up over the hill. Let's go see what Ward got. And Ward didn't have anything. But, yeah, sometimes you don't get them. That was a risk worth taking. But it was noticed that I didn't shoot the deer.
People were watching.
People were watching.
It's good for me to know that's happened to Doc too, Todd. That somebody's watching you and you don't shoot a deer.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah. Nobody rides for free.
One I can remember, one of the things Dad would do is Novak, the Bohemi, would bring somebody every now and then. And Dad's first question, the people would introduce the person, and his first question is, can you shoot? Which is a fair question. And sometimes it can be received and the person can also know, yeah, I can shoot. And it's kind of a measure of, are you going to shoot? Can you shoot? Are you any good if you shoot?
Can you shoot? What do you mean by can?
You came here for one reason. You got 2 days, and we're going to get this done. I need to know if you can shoot. And then it follows through that way. But that was always a measure.
He always threatened to put an anchor on Gary Coffelt. He did not know slow.
While he was walking?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, he did not know. You take 2 steps forward and 1 back, and everybody else might keep up with him. But you had to put an anchor on that guy. 2 things you could count, 3 things. 1, he was going to be walking fast. 2, you were going to be out before daylight. And 3, if he saw a deer, he was going to empty his gun, which was some consideration with that extended magazine.
You knew where he was in the drive.
I remember you telling the story about Gary once, where he was looking at turkeys while the pile of deer ran by him.
Oh, that was the late antlerless tag thing. And we were hunting Eunice Menglers.
Yep.
And I was up on one side, and there was Gary the next one, and the drivers came through, and I saw the deer cutting through, and there were just turkeys everywhere. The whole ground was moving. There must have been 30, 40 turkeys in there.
Oh, wow.
And the deer cut between me and Gary and went Gary's way. And, of course, I didn't shoot because he was in the way. But I said, Coffelt, you see those deer? What deer? I said, the ones that went by you. So there wasn't any deer. See that patch of snow, Gary? You think those tracks were in there when you got up here? No. I said, I was so busy watching the turkeys. So I got a cap, and one of you bicycle riders get those little mirrors. I made him one of those for the next time you're on stand, Gary, look in your mirror once in a while, make sure there isn't one going. A whole herd went right behind him, but he was so fixated on the turkeys, he didn't see them.
They look like B-52 bombers.
Yeah, but if he'd have killed 3 deer, it'd have been a story. But that story lives far beyond it.
Because everybody's watching, Doc.
Well,
right?
because it's a better story than Gary killed 3 deer.
It is.
It's sort of like, Corey Lindsay.
Yep.
Well, the Lindsays and us went up to Connie's grandparents' home in Minnesota, and the walleyes happened to be biting, and Corey was a little guy. We were out fishing, and Corey got a hold of a big one, and he couldn't get it in. So I said, okay, Corey, he said, here, you take the pole. So I took the pole, and my daughter, Lee, got the net out and got that fish halfway in the net when he went out. And Corey lost the walleye, which today still binds the 2 of them. If Corey caught a nice walleye, it's the deal. But to have Lee mess up Corey's walleye, we were up there at a boutique a few years back, and in the boutique was a T-shirt that we had to buy because it said, Emily, Minnesota, where everything is copacetic. And then somebody loses a walleye. So I don't know whether it hit Corey or not, but I had to get it for it.
That's too good. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's it. Roll it down.
Success is not always what you hang on the meat pole or put in the freezer.
Definitely. So goals. We talked a little bit about goals in hunting and the planning, but you mentioned this with our group and the question. So we talk about group hunting. I don't want people to think that we always miss. So talk about the size of our group and our most successful year.
Our group was run minimum 20, occasionally over 30. It was always Gary Coffelt's goal to get 50 deer. We did that one year. Oh, we paid for it. We were processing deer, 18 deer that people left here. We were in the wee hours. Yeah,
Were you around for a time?
I was early before I would call it.
I heard your podcast on processing deer. You guys didn't tell them who taught you how to do all that.
I feel like we might have mentioned that.
But we paid for it with the 50 deer. And yes, dear?
Does Connie have a nickname while she's here?
As long as she's here, we can. Everybody, Connie's responsible for Lee, who's responsible for Clayton. So everybody wants Connie's chili.
Oh, yeah.
And Clayton's mom's scotcheroos.
Well, it's so, Doc, I started hunting the year after Gary passed. That was my first season down here. And we went to your clinic Saturday night for the chili feast.
Yep.
And that was my first exposure
We
to.
opened up the doors and that was
Yeah.
what I did.
Everybody liked it but one.
Who? We don't care.
We don't talk about him. Lightning will strike us if we speak his name.
Yeah. But so no, the chili, first time there, that was part of it. And now the scotcheroo
Are famous.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're in demand.
Doc, you remember last year when Marty forgot the scotcheroos and nobody let him live it down?
Go home and get them.
Somebody's going to acquire that label.
That may be Marty's nickname, the scotcheroo.
She used to make it like the recipe says, that you make it in a flat pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she said it got easier if I roll them.
Oh, is that why she did? Oh, okay.
And do 'em. And I say, hey, that's good for me.
Yeah, I
Your odd favorite.
They're
And have you ever tried to make them?
no.
I have. I'm not good.
Yeah, be.
It's a whole category at the state fair.
I know.
Right? Yes.
It is.
Right.
We digress, but
We digress. We're good at that. Okay. So group 50 processing deer.
Have you always processed your own deer?
no, we used to take it to Kellerton. The guy that running the locker and I developed a summer sausage recipe. It took about 3 cracks to get it right, but when we got it right, he had people coming from all over to use that recipe. Conopassig, Doyle Conopassig.
Oh, you took the whole carcass.
Yeah, we took. And the thing is you never cease to be amazed how little meat there is on a deer.
Yeah.
And you never get back. It'll have bone in it or bone dust from them sawing through, and it'll have fat on it. And those are the two things that make venison objectionable to people.
Sure.
If you get the fat off and don't have any bone, I've fed venison to people who didn't think they liked wild meat, who will rave about it.
How many pounds of summer sausage did you make it all in the summer sausage?
No, we had them do the loins as steaks, but I don't know. I never keep track. Just whatever when it is what it is when you get done. But we've now developed with the grinder where we can grind our regular sausage or our burger right out into the tube and cut it off and mix our sausage with the mixer and my own slicer for doing jerky. And we started out doing it in Stan's garage. You may not have come along there.
That was early on. Early on.
Ward had, and we got hungry enough. We took some out and cooked it while we were making it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Ward got in the scotch a little too much, and he labeled some of the stuffed kangaroo burger.
It's always good to
So when that came out of the thing, well, what's this? Well, that's Ward's writing. He called it kangaroo burger.
Too good. All right. So one question I'd like to touch on. You've seen a lot in the years that you've been down here. What's been the biggest change? Just for a topic.
Hunting down here for 40 plus years.
Yeah, hunting.
I think the focus of having a good time and a safe time over how many deer do we have hanging. You know, to me, if I'll shoot the deer if it's in my spot, but I get a bigger charge out. Okay, if we do this, and you come through this way, and you sit over here, you should get a shot. And giving the young guys a place to shoot. You know,
Yeah.
Carter Booth and his uncle. You know, they own Stan's place and they own some of this. I want to make sure they get a deer.
Right.
If I don't, I still got deer in my freezer.
Right.
Well, and I remember, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, maybe more, we were hunting Millers. We got done, and you came out with a big smile on your face. And the smile on your face, you told the story of a big deer ran by a bunch of hunters. Everybody with barrels went up for safety, and when the deer went behind us, somebody had happened to shoot it. And you were more happy that it was a safe hunt, that everybody did what they were supposed to do, and the deer got shot at the end.
My nephew Jesse stepped on that deer with the drivers and the standers 200 yards apart, and the deer went about halfway and cut over, and did not
It shows you how to.
did not get a shot done until it got back behind us. And it was me with the modestly lucky shot that dropped that deer in the snow. To everybody cheering. But the thing that made me proudest there was not the fact we killed that deer, is that deer, and it was a nice one, had run the gauntlet and nobody had even offered to pull down on him. Just that we came through that with a great deal of safety.
Which is why we do it every year.
The safety talk every Saturday morning.
Yeah, only one guy's ever objected to that, too.
Is your daughter coming?
Not yet.
Yeah.
She's welcome to.
She should.
She should.
Got to get more women into it.
Agree.
Really.
Agree.
We have had a couple of women in it. Well, Grandma Coffelt killed the deer every year till she was gone.
Wait, I didn't hear that. Shh.
Probably Viola did too.
It was Viola's I'm talking about.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
And one professor from ISU brought a woman down hunting one time.
Who's?
And
Victoria.
Miss
Cindy.
Cindy Keesting is a good hunter.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to cut her any slack.
No.
Your spot is here, your walk is here, and she did it.
She was good. They're great people over the years we've been able to meet. Now, we talk about nicknames, and sometimes people get names and nicknames. And you mentioned earlier, you brought it up maybe at the trap shoot, and we'll come back to that, but Mr. Sympathy.
Oh, Mr. Sympathy. that's Todd's younger brother. And Chris, his older brother, got injured somehow in a football game. And I'm on call. I'm in the ER. And about the time I walk in, I hear Paul say to Chris, you want me to hold your billfold in case something happens to you? I just labeled him Mr. Sympathy after that. He wasn't worried about whether Chris was hurt. He just wanted to make sure his billfold got taken care of. So
He's priorities.
he's been Mr. Sympathy to me for forever.
It still stands. It still stands. So I mentioned, so every year you have a trap shoot and wild game feed. And this year the rain didn't help out with that. But how many years have you been doing that?
Well, I've lost track. I know that we did our 25th anniversary, which was 29 years ago, as part of that celebration. It started with Gary and me, Loring Miller, Gary Lindsay, Jack Van Laar, and Jim Scott. Labor Day weekend, getting together to shoot some clayberries because it was getting time to get hunting. And then we said, next year, we ought to have a little potluck. So we did. And from there, it's grown to where we've had as many as 120 people here.
Wow.
And, had the sheriff come out because we're making so much noise. And, we're shooting a lot of claybirds. Yeah, I said, Sheriff, that line fence down there? Yeah, well, that's the city limits, right? Go back and tell whoever was complaining to come out and join us. We'll feed them. We invite lots of bad shots, but no bad cooks.
Nobody leaves hungry is the information I would
We
share.
cook fish till we're ready to eat something else and shoot pickles. And
That's good. That's good.
Spray cans, shoot spray cans.
yeah, those are the two interesting things. Somebody told Jim about, just poking holes in paper is fun, getting the rifle sighted, but you like to see something happen. So you take a great big old cucumber and set it on a bench about 100 yards away and pop it with a high velocity round, and they go whop and go fly every which way. And it just gives you some sort of sense of, I really did something and poke a hole in the paper.
I don't think anybody would argue.
And we were at Lake of the Woods fishing and somebody told us about the spray can thing. So you get an old spray can, yellow, green, the more colors the better. They get clogged up and you can't work them. Well, you collect them and you get them from your friends, and you go to the body shop, and every place you can find them. Nate Boyd brought a whole bunch of Blaze Orange marker ones, and you line them up we built a special platform, and behind that you put a white towel screen, and then you let the kids get back from that and pop them with 22s. Though we had to move them a little farther, one about lit in a lap one time, but those things will hit and they'll fizz and they'll spray every which way, and you get some really pretty scenes from this and that color going every which way, and sometimes you hit one, it'll fizz clear up in the air, knocks the others off, and the kids think that's great, and adults do too.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not bad. That's
we
note to self.
The more
Thomas Slade wants to keep going, and he's a full-grown adult. He comes, I get to shoot. If you want to talk about, so someplace long of 29 years, probably 35 or more.
It's on the calendar every year.
The day before Labor Day, Jill Parsons, Jack Parsons' daughter, was a patient of mine, and her brother was my first youth hunter. They're for deer hunting. Jared.
That's right.
So, and when I said, well, he's going to come the second year, well, come on out, we'll sight in the gun, bring Jill and bring everybody. So Jill says, I'm not coming, guns are bad. And I said, wait a minute, no. And she was a fourth grader about then, or maybe a little. Anyway, guns are bad. Well, she was a teacher. She taught fourth grade by then. Guns are bad. No, guns aren't bad. Come on out. And Jill's an athlete. So she came out, and I handed her my Model 52 Winchester with a scope sight. And I had that little row of swinging targets out there. I said, just put the safety off. I gave her a quick safety course, put that X on that thing and squeeze the trigger. And it went kaplink, went like this. Woo! And she went through a whole box of 22s. Yeah. Boy, this is fun. Yeah. So I said, but I couldn't make a clay bird. And I said, I'll bet you can. So we took her out, gave her Leslie's LT-20. The third bird just went kapoof. And Jill was hooked after that, and she never told any fourth graders guns are bad and people that hunt are bad people after that. So I count her amongst my conversions from the anti-hunters to a pro hunter.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Nice.
That's part of the hunter education stuff too, is making sure, we don't drive through town with deer legs sticking out. We don't go into Casey's with blood up to our elbows. We carefully manage our reputation as law-abiding people who aren't out there slinging mayhem and blood everywhere. So people have because there's 10% anti-hunters, there's 10% hunters of battles for the other 80%. It helps when the goose poops on the golfer's green. They tend to go toward the let's shoot them. But we can go a long ways at it, and we teach that's one of our part of our hunter safety courses is project your image. You're not... You only need a 4-inch blade. You don't need a Jim Bowie knife to clean a deer. You don't need to walk in there with that hog stabber on your belt in amongst the people going to church and getting a donut at Casey's before they go to church.
True.
Well, in our defense, we don't get close to Casey's. I hunted in southwest Iowa, and the mistake I made coming here is in southwest Iowa, we stopped for lunch. We used to.
Oh, you did, Todd?
No. We'd take people into a diner, and people would order lunch, and it'd take an hour and a half out of the middle of our day. You imagine what that did to the guy that didn't want to get started right at sunrise, and he that only lasted a year or two. We don't do that anymore.
Before my time.
Take along your granola bar and
or Scotcheroo.
And monster cookie.
And monster cookies. We've evolved. So I remember when we would do a drive with 3 trucks with toppers. Mm-hmm. And that's all we would take because the image, part of the image. And, the world's changed a little bit, society. And now I'm not going to say we look like a parade, but where we are.
The game warden always knows where to find us.
Yes. We welcome them.
We welcome him. He comes and checks on us. We have a good talk. We tell him how we're doing. We invite. I always tell him I'll buy him breakfast if he wants to come into the fire department. But he kind of figures that might look like it's bribery, but I don't think it would be. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. We welcome that. So we've covered nicknames. We've covered stories. We've covered opportunities.
You haven't covered the best nickname, Killer.
Killer Keller.
Killer. This guy, may he get well to hunt with us this year. If we had to have a deer to save our life and we only had one slug left between us, I know who I would give it to.
Agree.
You'd give it to Killer, and he'd be the best opportunity. His last deer hunt so far, he laid down 3 right there at the new catbird seat.
Catbird seat is true, and I think people will be chomping at the bit to be part of that. But yeah, he could do that, and he could do it in front. Then when they ran behind at a distance, he could do that. And
Well, I thought Novak. I was always told deer go to Novak's feet to die when his gun sighted in.
Novak has missed more deer than you've ever seen. I mean,
We're going to sing this to Novak now.
I gave him that one spot, and it's become Novak's spot, but it's where the deer tend to go. And he's killed some deer, but he has a lot more stories about. And the last one was really the epitome of it. I had the new red dot that they sighted for me at Shields right on him when I shot. I said, well, then let me have that. And in my first round, off a bench rest at 40 yards, missed the bullseye by a foot in each direction.
Oof.
A foot high and a foot to the left. I barely put it on the paper. I took a picture of it and sent it to Novak and said, I think I know why you missed the deer.
leading them the wrong way. This has been good. So you have your kids, your grandkids are hunting with us, and that's cool. And families you've raised, and people who don't hunt, who you've given opportunities, turkey hunting. Are you duck hunting on the lake? Is the lake still an option for you?
There haven't been enough. I've got still an option, but I don't exercise it much. Chase more geese on the fields. Stanley and I used to do that a lot.
Your last story about geese was you use fog to your benefit.
When they come in, boy, they're right on top of you.
Really?
Oh, you'll hear them honking. They can't see you, and all of a sudden you got a goose flaring in front of you at 20 yards.
And then they go to leave, and they can't tell you where to go.
I about wrecked Stanley one time. They get out that close, and I popped the thing, and it didn't miss him by more than this much. You got a 15-pound goose coming at you at 30 mile an hour. That's going to hurt.
It's going to leave a mark. So, and I'll go back to one thing. The planning committee used to plan every year with Stanley, Gary, you, and Dad, and we haven't planned as much. And it's there's planning that goes on a little bit. We talk about it, maybe is a better word. But what's the takeaway? And you mentioned it earlier. What can you do? What did you learn, and how do you set it up for the next year? Tell us about the takeaway from that.
Look at last year. Where did they get away from us on Moundsden? Just east of Bircham's Place. Nobody was along that little creek. So somebody needs to be, if we have enough people along that little creek, that's where the leak was. They tend to go east on us as well, and having Jesse up in that catbird, up in that pole thing, it falls down every year. He puts it up, crawls. He gets coals. Everybody envies Jesse, but he's sitting up there in the cold wind. He gets a shot almost always, but that's where they get away from us there. They get away from us on my place by going south. And since we can't cross the neighbor to the south anymore, we have to get around them, because if you don't stop them from going south, they don't go west. You walk a long ways, you don't see many deer. Those are the two I think of. And the Monday hunt, somebody needs to be sitting between where you sit and where I've been sitting, because that's where they go.
Steve, for the record. Let the record read.
Hey, it's only been 2 years in a row that they go right between Doc and I. Okay? Only 2 years. And those were the only 2 years Doc's been with us, so he's witnessed it.
I know we didn't draw any blood, but we didn't hurt each other.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
That's good. Let's see. So I think we're at right around an hour. And what will happen is you'll think of a lot of other topics and stories that come out, and we'll be happy to come back.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be a one-time and done, Doc.
Our experience, we wanted to stop by to be able to share this, and not with you, but just with anybody that's listening, and kind of ask the Liars Club for comments and questions. We're not going to give a map on where we hunt or where the nicknames are applied on a map, but
we've talked about every place has a nickname that we hunt. We haven't talked how it's got the nickname, though, like Half a Days.
Well, there was a person. I'll divulge this information. Apparently, there was a person who owned... Allegedly, and not proven yet, that owned land over there that, used to work for the Postal Service, and he would only work half a day. So he got that nickname, Half Days, which is that one was in fun and jest, I'm sure. But there was the Blind Man's Place, the 100-acre timber, the Bailey Forest would have been a property owner.
Miller's Paradise. It got renamed.
Miller's Paradise. And
Crazy Ladies.
Deer Alley, you referred to that earlier. North 40, which is
The North
55 acres.
The Point.
The Lake Point. And
That was Coffelt's Folly.
that was Coffelt.
Oh.
Tell us why. Let's do the end of
When you'd hunt that, if you came down to a point where, and we killed deer, but then how the Sam scratch do you get them off of there? So we finally got to where we brought my duck boat and brought it across and hauled deer and hunters back. But it was considerable effort by the time you started on the north end, walked all the way down, and then coordinated it again. You better trust everybody there, because when you got down there, you had sent half the people on around, half of them stopped, and the deer are going to be between you, and you better know where you're shooting. And we killed a lot of deer, but I always called that Coffelt's Folly.
Did something happen to a Coffelt to call it?
No, it's just his idea to go hunt.
Oh, gotcha.
And I said, that's Coffelt's Folly. It's just it could be done, but it required effort, training, planning, and
Coordination.
yeah.
That part of that walk was miserable.
Oh, and they've burned some of it since then, but there's still a lot of raspberries in there.
Impassable. Before anybody says we should hunt that, I just want to make sure we are all.
It gets brought up every year. That's right. What about the Point?
And the spot where we used to kill them is all grown in.
Old road doesn't exist anymore.
Well, they had a ski trail up in there, remember?
Yeah.
And we drove Stan Bertram's pickup up in there to pick up a deer. And Rich Erkey the next year, did you drive up in there on my ski trail to pick up a deer? No, I didn't. Did Gary Coffelt drive his pickup in there to catch that deer? And I said, no. I don't know what I'd have said if he'd said, did Stan Bertram guide? But he quit there.
Gotta go. You have to answer the question.
Right? You don't elaborate.
Don't elaborate. But that's how it goes. That's how good stories are made. What? Well, Doc, thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
This afternoon, that's perfect. And appreciate it. Appreciate the reminiscing, and looking forward already to deer season approximately 90 days from now.
Yeah.
October, November. Yeah, less than 90. Jeez.
It doesn't change. We some in the group.
It's the same calendar date every year.
Every year.
Doc, appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Any final words?
No.
Did you have fun? Was this?
Oh, yeah. As long as I didn't have to do anything I didn't already know.
There you go.
I didn't say any swear words.
You're good. Yeah.
That's
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks for riding shotgun with Ag, Ammo, and Adventure. Big shout out to Doc for dropping wisdom, laughs, and a few stories we probably shouldn't fact check. Whether you're scouting deer, sipping Iowa craft beer, or just swapping lies at the locker, we're proud to have you in the Liars Club. Stay wild, stay proud, and remember, in Iowa, the legends don't retire, they reload.